everybody! Welcome back to another video! Right where we left off.
Captain, you have an uncanny talent for complicating my life. You've disrupted the balance of power. You've upset the natural order of things. You've introduced uncertainty, and there is nothing I despise more than uncertainty. I'm afraid I can't do that. For all... Dr. Wells is being held. All that's left to do is put down this... In that, I take no... Leaving... This...
So, the final boss fight, everyone? Here we go! No, never mind. This thing definitely isn't the boss. Wow. Aim for its back! Let's go. Wow, there's a lot of drones in here. No. No, there's like actually a lot of drones. Wow. The only reason this is a boss fight is because of how many drones there are. Okay. Well, it looks like we're gonna have to breathe a bit. Wow. This boss fight is hard. I mean, that makes sense. I wouldn't have expected least, but still... Go on! No way! Let's go! Don't tell me I have to take down Ram as well as all these guys as well. Because if I do, that's gonna be annoying. Yes! Oh, thank gosh I didn't have to do that. Oh! Wow, she died. Died straight away. And Dr. Phineas is here.
You don't know how glad I am to see you. You did the right thing. Akande was a monster. Her death was much deserved, and long overdue. And you lunatic, You broke into the board's own fortress just to rescue one doddering old man! You are absolutely out of your mind. And I can't begin to thank you enough. All in a day. You've broken the board's stranglehold on this colony. You and I are going to have to work harder than ever to save Halcyon. I'm afraid the situation is far worse than any... Earth has gone dark. We haven't received a single... 2 years ago, the Earth's Directorate's frigate disappeared on the...
So we've got to make... You mean...
I'm afraid so, Miss Holcomb. Halcyon is the only home we have left. Returning to Earth is no longer an option. We're in serious trouble, my friend. Do you know what this means for Halcyon? We can't... Yes, we're going... You're the best thing to ever happen to Halcyon. We're not a colony any longer, are we? Our last connection to Earth has been severed, and so we have been set free. Our future...
The OSI teaches that everything in the universe happens according... From the moment he landed in Emerald Vale, his actions altered the course of history. The events on Tartarus brought about the end of the board's authority. But the board's mistakes would haunt the colony for decades to come. The damage they left behind would require the work of a generation to repair. Dr. Phineas Wells began reviving a handful of the Hope's colonists. Engineers, scientists, technicians, and intellectuals. They were among the brightest minds the Earth had ever sent out into the stars. The Hope scientists and engineers woke up in a colony descending headlong into total collapse. With no way to return to Earth, they had no choice but to band together and devote themselves to the cause of saving Halcyon. The people of Halcyon were nothing if not hardy. In the absence of the board's authority, many of the colony's settlements banded together with a single purpose in mind: survival. Life was especially hard in the years to come. Some towns dissolved by attrition and starvation, but most of them found a way to carry on. In the years to come, Halcyon was forced to reckon with its newfound freedom. The board was gone, and for better or worse, the colony was responsible for its own destiny. Sanjar's civil liberties and worker-centric policies were slow to catch on with the other corporations. But as Halcyon began its long, arduous journey toward recovery, many of Terra 2's smaller townships started adopting MSI's alternative corporate structure, and eventually became entirely self-sufficient. In the coming years, many of these townships managed to eke by, where otherwise they might have starved. After returning to Edgewater, the deserters negotiated workplace reforms with Reed Thompson, including a single day of rest, which came to be known as a weekend. As the world around him changed, Thompson found himself pining for the old days. He was known to spend his weekends in the cantina, nursing one of the few remaining bottles of Zero G, and repeating to himself, "It's not the best choice, it's Spacer's choice." As for Adelaide McDevitt, she tended to her garden in solitude for another year before passing away. Her body was discovered some months later when Reed Thompson paid her a visit in an effort to make amends. Her remains were buried in a place of honor underneath the floor of the Edgewater Cannery. Reed believed this was what she always wanted. Junlei Tennyson fought to protect the Groundbreakers' independence. While the board's influence faded, mechanical difficulties forced her to rely on parts that only corporations could provide. The cost was high, and time would tell if Junlei could balance the work with her aspirations for a better future. The rediscovery of the Hope and the abandonment of the Lifetime Employment Program forced Byzantium to come to terms with some uncomfortable realities about the state of Halcyon. While Byzantines were reluctant to... Though Parvati eventually grew comfortable aboard the Unreliable, she never quite came out of her shell. And she often wished aloud that her dad was still alive to teach her about the finer points of starship care and maintenance. While the colony fell into chaos, she found an island of relative peace with Ada, and they formed an unusual bond. She decided to remain aboard the Unreliable permanently as its chief and sole engineer. As hard as she tried to drink them away, Nyoka's memories eventually overcame her. Traveling with the crew served as a constant reminder of the family she'd lost, and so she eventually returned to Monarch to get back to what she found most comfortable: the deep end of a bottle and the far end of a trail. Few have seen her since, but travelers often swear they hear her and her machine gun in the night, screaming swears and spitting bullets. Before his untimely death, Captain Alex Hawthorne had plans to restore and modify, for combat purposes, a sanitation and maintenance automechanical that he'd found in a state of disrepair in Emerald Vale's scrapyard. That unit remains broken down and forgotten in the Unreliable supply closet to this day. Minister Clark was released from house arrest, and his contact with you gave him a sense of renewed purpose and vigor. Once it became clear that no help would be coming from Earth, he threw his considerable efforts and talents into helping Halcyon manage the crisis before it. As for Dr. Phineas Wells, he spent his remaining years in his orbital lab. He eventually came to terms with his own past, and was able to forgive the mistakes of his younger self by devoting his remaining years to serving the colony. Dr. Wells was able to revive many more scientists and engineers than he first expected, thanks to the additional batch of chemicals you stole from the Ministry. Wells never forgot about the human lives that were lost in acquiring these chemicals. In the end, Dr. Wells was able to save every scientist and engineer aboard the Hope. Over the next decade, nearly all of the Hope's remaining colonists were successfully revived. Halcyon saw a period of rapid technological and scientific advancement. Breakthroughs in dietary supplements saved the colony from starvation. Geoengineering projects and social reforms began to change the structure and character of the colony. Dr. Wells laid the groundwork for the project to save the colony, but he would never live to see the fruits of his labor. He passed away a few years later. His work was carried on by the scientists and engineers he revived. Today, Halcyon has stabilized. The people of the colony work hard to adapt to their new circumstances. Nearby colonies send aid and supplies. Life will never be easy in Halcyon, but for the first time in its history, there exists a sense of real, genuine hope about the future. And what about you, the unplanned variable in the history of Halcyon? You brought an end to the chaos on Tartarus, and proved yourself the most capable leader left in the colony. You administered the colony in your own image. With the old power of the board destroyed, a new government of Halcyon rose with you at its center. With your steady hand, you guided Halcyon through the turbulent years that were to follow, and helped ensure the survival of the colony until the end of your days. No one knows what's happened to Earth, and no one knows what the future has in store for Halcyon. All we know for certain is this: the name of the Unreliable and that of its intrepid captain will remain the subject of countless stories for years to come.
Wow. Well, that was, something. That was a good game. Okay, can I not skip? Okay, no, I can't skip this. Okay. Oh, this is really just the same thing.
You don't know how glad I am to see you.
Ah, my, of course.
I had our roles reversed, you see. You're the one who's going to save us all. You're the best thing to ever. We're not a colony any longer.
Okay. Well, everyone, I hope you guys enjoyed that. The end. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you guys want me to play Parallel and Gorgon and Murder on Aradanos. And if you do, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.